Hey guys, welcome to the D2 Live, and it's a very exciting edition because the first Grand Tour is about to get underway. It's the Giro d'Italia for 2021. I'm your host, Dan Jones, and joined, as always, by four-time national road champion, Johnny Chavarro. Johnny, you must be pretty excited for the Giro, but unfortunately, bloody COVID, we're not there. We are not there. We won't be there for a while.
No, but we'll be sitting on the couch like all our fans and viewers watching it on SBS, which is fantastic that it's back there. And I was just reminiscing before that it's 40 years almost to the day when I rode in the Giro. 40 bloody years. So there you go.
40 years.
Yeah,
well, there you go. I'm sure we can rehash more of the smoking kangaroo stories over the next 3 weeks. But before we get underway, I mean, we've got Matt White on board again this year. He's going to have some fantastic insights. And I see the bookies have brought Yates into outright favourite, Iffy.
Yes, he was second favourite up until yesterday. I think they had Egan Bernal as favourite, but rightfully so, they've made him the favourite. He doesn't really like that, but he seems to be hitting it pretty well. I've been watching a lot of the interviews with him, and he seems to...
Yep, your internet is off to another belter, so we might bring Whitey in, who's probably got better internet in Italy. Oh, we've lost Whitey. I don't know what's happened there. I went to bring him in, and
I reckon it's you. I reckon it's you.
I don't know what's happened there. He's just dropped out, and your internet's starting to play up as well. So we're off to a cracker. We might have to send him a message to let him know that. We've lost him. But before we do then, I've got a video lined up, and this is Simon Yates' insights from the backstage pass on how he's feeling, and a funny little grab with Cam Moore at the end of it.
The team has obviously come in very well from Tour of the Alps. I mean, cliche, but the last week is pretty hard. And I think if we save enough energy for that sort of that week and those stages around that, I think we can go farther. I'm excited to start, really. I mean, we don't know until we start racing, so we'll go from there.
All the very best, Simon, and the team at Bike Exchange.
Is
that you two's favourite bit of a whole Grand Tour?
What's that?
Yeah, it's all downhill from here. Normally means I'm a pain in the butt because means I'm checking my bike every time and maybe making slight changes when the mechanic goes, isn't this your 4th race day of the year that your bike should be right?
That's not you though, is it?
No.
No.
Durbo taught me this.
Whoa! Cam, do you know that chat we had earlier? Is this related?
It's a different bike, so start again.
Some great stuff there with the boys. We've got you back, Whitey. Are you there?
Yeah. Italian Wi-Fi, mate. Italian Wi-Fi. It's not so reliable.
Casa.
I'm back.
How you feeling, mate? You must be pretty excited on the eve of what is your favourite Grand Tour.
No, I am excited. There's a really good vibe around the team this year. It's very relaxed, but a degree of confidence, but a really relaxed vibe going into it's going to be a very stressful and difficult 3 weeks. But it's a very calm group we've got this year, and we've got a lot of belief, obviously, in our leader Simon Yates, and a great group of people to support him for this month.
We just heard from Yatesy before from the backstage pass. I've heard from a few people inside the camp that this year particularly he has been much more relaxed, both on and off the bike. What do you think's led to all of that?
Oh, I think experience. I think experience, mate. He's people love bringing up the 2018 Giro when we won 5 stages and lost the race a couple of days to go. But people forget he's won a Grand Tour since then. A lot of water has gone under the bridge, and with good and bad experiences, you do gain a confidence in your ability, and you've been in that situation many times before. And I think he's in a good place physically and mentally going into the race. And we know we're going to have our challenges and we're going to have our hands full, but it's a very very calm and confident Simon Yates going into this year's Giro.
Iffy?
Yeah, I was going to say exactly that. I've been watching all of his interviews, and there was some really good stuff on the team website, but plus with Cycling News and everyone else. He's just, whereas he's never liked the media attention much, but he's handling it so much better. And he's handling being the favourite a lot better. He wouldn't talk about who his main opposition was going to be. He had a lot of good bike riders here. He didn't want to focus on any one person, and he kept saying how strong he reckons the team are and devoted just to him, which is very important. A lot of the other teams with top riders have got riders who have got other jobs to do as well, sprinters or breakaway riders, whereas this team is all about Simon Yates.
Yeah, definitely, John. And look, I think he's not a guy. He doesn't go looking for media attention. He just loves racing his bike and loves that goal of winning. But he's learned that it's part and parcel with being a leader of one of the biggest teams in the world, and he's certainly starting with a good headspace.
Now, you right, John?
I was just going to say, I mean, he says that he's got no special thing to prove with the Giro, but I doubt that that's the case. When we won't go back on 2018, but he was so good until just the last couple of days. But he was really dominant, and then his form coming in last year was fantastic, and then to get COVID and have to leave the races, the whole team had to leave with that pandemic last year. It's just something that it must be sticking in his craw that he would really want to win this more than anything else.
Look, I think for him it's his fourth trip here in a row, and we've learned a lot over the last couple of years. And 2018 we had a different tactic because we had different rivals, and we also didn't know where he was as a rider in his stage of development, especially in the time trials back in 2018. And 2018 we were going up against Chris Froome in his heyday, Tom Dumoulin, the world's best time trialers with 65k of time trialing. This year is only 39k. And that changes things as well. It changes you change your tactics also depending on the course, but also depending on who your rivals are. And we're in a different place than we were. But getting back to your point there, Johnny, we would love to win this Giro. There's no mistake about that. And it's the fourth attempt at it. And I said we've learned a lot over the years, and now we've got to put those lessons into action over the next 21 days.
What are your thoughts on the race route this year? It looks like a pretty filthy middle and last week. It's really just the classic edition, but then you throw in those gravel stages as well. What do you think overall of the course? Yeah,
I think as far as one thing that you always know about the Giro d'Italia, it's always very, very back end heavy, and there's no surprise there with two times two mega mountain days in the last week, broken up by a nice little 230k spin in between. That's the last week. But the first week, it's not a flat week. Sometimes you do get, and I remember 2019, after the prologue there in Bologna, basically it was a pretty boring sort of a first week where there was probably 6 sprints and there wasn't any action until the next TT. Well, this year, not so much. This year, we've got our first hilltop finish on stage 4, another one on stage 6. And then the second week is deceptively hard. And I've seen nearly all of the second week in person, driven those stages. And obviously the thing that stands out is the gravel stage. Now, I've never seen anything like it in modern cycling. People will try to compare it to Strade Bianche. Now, it is in Tuscany. None of the same sectors are getting used. These are farm roads that have been semi-fixed up to accommodate a world-class bike race on them. Now, I saw them in March, and I got one hell of a shock from what I saw in March. Now, they have fixed them up a little bit, and we took the team there on Tuesday afternoon, and we checked out the tail end of the stage, where all the gravel is, on Wednesday, and they were still in the mode of fixing them as we're riding them. We had dumping tons of sand, dumping rocks. The heavy machinery was coming out. So this was 48 hours ago. The race doesn't pass there till stage 11, and I'll be going back the day before on the rest day to see the final product. But it's a stage I really think that could have a bigger effect on general classification than any mountain stage.
And how does Yatesy go on the gravel stuff?
Yeah, pretty good, mate. He's got his track riding skills. Certainly, he's a guy who can handle himself on a bike. And the thing about this gravel stage, they're long sections. The longest section's 12 kilometers, and it's 12 kilometers. And in that section, it has ramps of up to 15% on gravel. So the first section will be very decisive, just from positioning wise. The second section will be as decisive because the guys who can't climb will be dropped. The guys run it for more than 30 minutes, and in that sector, it is I said more than 15% ramps. And by the time we get to the third and the fourth section, I think that the bunch will be in some small groups scattered around various kilometers. And if someone has bad luck, which no one wishes that on anyone, I think people will lose minutes on that stage because you'll be caught between groups without your team car. Teammates will be everywhere. And look, it'll certainly be one spectacle for television, but it'll be probably the most stressful day of the race.
I was going to say that they'll be nervous, but so will you, Whitey, for sure. Because as you said, and it's probably one of those typical stages. It's the old cliche. It's where probably no one will win the Tour there. There'll be a few people who will lose the Tour there, and it could be through just bad luck, which you hate to see. And remember Port last year on that gravel stage in the Tour de France where he punctured and kept riding the flat tyre, which he had to do. And how he managed to do that, I don't know, but it was a fantastic piece of riding. And that's the problem. As you say, team cars can't be near their riders, because of the situation with bike riders everywhere. And you just got to pray and hope, I suppose.
Yeah, look, when Richie had to do that last year, I think he had to ride for 1.5 kilometres, not 12K. And we went through there with a couple of vehicles yesterday and on Wednesday, and it was like a dust storm. You couldn't see 20 metres behind the car. It was very loose gravel. But look, let's just wait and see what happens. But what I think the risk there for the race there is if you have stage 11, it's early in the race, but if you have a couple of favourites who actually lose time there, it can actually backfire on the race, and actually you lose some of that rivalry because one of the favourites could lose 2 to 3 minutes on a stage where he shouldn't. So anyway, it is what it is. We went through there the other day with the boys. No, we didn't have a puncture, which was a great sign. We got some really good tyres and some equipment underneath us, but everyone's in the same boat. You're going to need a little bit of luck, and hopefully luck's on our side that day.
What tyres are you riding, Whitey? Are you still on tubulars, or are you going to tubeless like some of the others?
A combination, John. Some guys like others. Some feel better than others. And we'll be riding either between 28 or 30 bag tyres.
Okay.
So as big as it gets, as big as we can fit in our bikes. Basically, as big as you can get without being a mountain bike on a road bike.
Whitey, how taxing is it if you are in a position where you have the leader's jersey, like what happened in 2018 on the rest of the team? And you said before, taking the learnings from 2018, you look at those last two stages. I mean, if you're thereabouts and haven't had to protect the jersey, is that sort of the ideal scenario for you guys?
Yeah, I think the way we're going to look at the first week is if there's opportunities up for grabs in this first week, we'll take them. But best case scenario, if we did get the jersey in the first week, we would definitely be looking at giving it away. I think the damage you could do to a team trying to control that second week, it would be quite detrimental to the back end of the race. And like I said, we've learned our lesson. If opportunities are there, we'll take them. If there's an opportunity to win a stage of the Giro, to take the jersey, for sure, we're going to go for it, as all teams would. But it's going to be pretty clear if we do take the jersey in this first week, we will not be interested in keeping it for the duration.
Who do you think are your biggest rivals for the GC? I see Evan Pohl's up there. I mean, that's his first Grand Tour. Bernal's had his back issues. Are you expecting any sort of surprises given the unbelievable results we saw on GC in 2020?
Definitely. Look, I think it's crazy. I think it's crazy that we're talking about Evenepoel. I know he's a very, very talented athlete. He's a 21-year-old who hasn't raced for 9 months, broke his leg in a very serious accident, hasn't raced this year, hasn't done a Grand Tour, and the Belgian people are talking about him like he's the next Eddie Merckx, ready to win the Giro. So look, mate, if he wins the Giro off the preparation he's had, maybe I should go start coaching netball, because it's a preparation that I've never seen before with a kid that young. But he's a class act, and I'm sure he's going to be good. We'll see for how long. He's also his teammate Almeida, who was 4th last year as a neo pro in his first Giro, and did such a great job holding the lead for 14 days, I think, and really didn't have. He had one off day, which he dropped from 1st to 4th, but he's a class act, and it will only be better. I don't believe anything that Ineos are putting out about Bernal. I think a team that big, with the budget they have, wouldn't be coming to the Giro d'Italia with an injured rider. I think it's just it's a way that they're trying to diffuse the pressure from Bernal. Obviously, since he had his incident last year at the Tour and had to stop. So I think he wouldn't be coming here if he wasn't at a very, very high level. I think a lot of people aren't talking about Mikel Landa. He's been the bridesmaid in a lot of situations over the years. I think he's got 2 4th places in the Tour de France. He's podiumed this race a long time ago with Astana. And he's been looked very consistent this year in Tirreno, and then a good performance in Basque as well. Outside those guys, you've got the Shark there, breaking his hand 3 weeks ago. A bone in his hand is not the ideal run into the Giro, but regardless of where he's at now, he has the potential to tip the Giro upside down somewhere in the 3rd week, because we know he's a guy who always builds into Grand Tours, and he could maybe not necessarily win this year's Giro, but he could certainly have a big effect on the final result.
And what are your thoughts on the time trial today, mate? It's going to be obviously hard and fast. How do you think Yates is going to go?
Good. It's a 10-minute effort. It's downtown, the centre of Turin. It's technical at times. It's safe. Just when you've got quite different road surfaces in the city there with manhole covers and so forth. But I don't see big gaps between the GC guys in such a short distance. And look, if he would lose, let's say his biggest rival who can time trial today would probably be Evenepoel and Almeida, the 2 riders from Quickstep. If we're within 15 seconds of those guys today, I think it'd be a great outcome.
And the lead up to the Giro, you raced the Tour of Alps. Was that the first time you guys had done that? And what was the decision to choose that race?
Yeah, so we had Tour of the Alps penciled in our program last year, but obviously it was a race in April that got cancelled, and it wasn't on the program at all last year. Now I have competed in that race when I was racing, and it was quite a traditional race. It used to be called Trentino, and most of the race was in Italy on the Italian side. Now it's called Tour of the Alps, and half the race was in Austria and half the race was in Italy. But the concept's the same. It was one medium mountain stage and 4 mountain stages back to back. But the difference is that a lot of the races in the spring don't have high mountains, because you are really rolling the dice with weather. And it did have some high passes, and fortunately for us, the weather was super. And what I wanted to do was to bring the core group together, and because we've got a couple of guys like Tanel Kangat never raced with Simon Yates. There's Callum Scottson and Nick Schultz have done very limited racing with Simon, and we wanted to go there, have a good performance. It was like our dress rehearsal for the race, and if there's problems or things you can do better, that was the place to work it out. And I think it worked really well, gave the group a lot of confidence, not only Simon, but I think the team around him and the staff as well. It was 85-90% of the same staff who were there at Tour of the Alps are here at the Giro, and I think we left that in a really good place.
A lot of those Alp races, they give weird prizes for stage wins, like your weight in cheese or things like. Did they hand out anything like that for this edition?
Yeah, I think there is a good 30 to 40 kilogram of sausages somewhere floating around the service course.
It's awesome.
I did see them given out, but I didn't see where they ended up. But there was a lot of sausage given out last 2 weeks ago.
Mate, you're in Torino. What's the food been like since you've arrived?
I will give you one guess.
Pasta.
Very good. Very good.
And that real passionate hotel owner that's right under your grill trying to make you buff by giving you four serves.
Yeah, the ladies who are serving the ladies who are serving our dinner were certainly ramming home the fact that pasta was on the menu for lunch and dinner. But look, it's my take on that. It's easier for me to go for a run than to turn down pasta.
Yeah.
So
Right.
so we're out there in the morning exercising because as per usual here, the food is incredible. And the only problem I'm having personally is it's springtime. The weather's heated up the last week here, and as you know, northern Italy is very green, very lush, and it's spring allergies time.
Oh yeah, pack the claret on.
You mentioned Nick Schultz before, and he's going to be quite important in this Giro. I've been impressed with his form in the lead-up races, Tour of the Alps, the way he's climbing. But I reckon he's going to be really, really critical for Simon in the last week.
Yeah, look, I think Schultz has been progressing well over the last couple of years. He's done. I think the last four Vuelta Españas. I think 2 with Cajal and 2 or 3 with us. But it's his first time at the Giro, and he exited last year in a really good place and just carried that momentum forward into the spring. We've got the plan for us. We've got a couple of older guys, obviously Mikel Nieve and Tanel Kanga, and those guys between them have probably ridden about 25 Grand Tours, and those guys will be relying pretty heavily on those guys in the back end. And I think while Schultz is in a really good place at the moment, there's still a lot of mountain stages and crucial stuff in his first 2 weeks, and I think Schultz is going to play a really big role in this first half of the race while the engine's running hot, mate.
Hey, what's the vibe like on the ground? Because I saw some photos and that from the team Prezzo. It looks like there's a few more crowd, and is there more media there now compared to last year with the heavily sort of COVID restrictions?
Yeah, I think Janji, with as far as the media, I think same as last year, which I think is good. I think a lot of the way that the athletes were handled last year due to COVID was probably a little bit better organised and a lot cleaner for the media, and that hasn't changed. But I think the difference will be the crowds. I think we're going to see a lot bigger crowds, even though COVID still exists here. But I think people in general here in Europe are pretty COVID fatigued. And when the weather's good, I wouldn't be surprised if we see very, very big crowds. The vaccination process it's happening here. Like a lot of the countries, they're a little bit behind as far as the percentage of their population that they've done. The older people are getting vaccinated, but I think the young people have been over here. The young people haven't been able to congregate, for more than a year. And there is we're at the moment in the northern Italy. We're in a yellow zone, which means there is a degree of freedom of movement, especially in your region. So I wouldn't be surprised to see near on normal crowds on the side of the roads on the big mountain stages. I think that the start and finish areas will be still restricted, but I think that's the difference this year. I think we're going to see it'll be a little bit more the Giro of the past, not as sterile as we saw last year.
You mentioned vaccinations. When will you guys and the riders and so forth be vaccinated?
So it's a country rules, or policies. So I'm a resident of Spain, so I have to wait for the Spanish government to give me the call up, and unfortunately, I'm in the last category of people to get vaccinated. So, look, if I get vaccinated by September, I think I'll be happy. Not happy, but realistically, we've had a couple of our riders get vaccinated in the last week, and then all of our medical staff and people who work in the health industry. So that's physios and a few of our massage therapists have been vaccinated. And then a couple of our older staff have been vaccinated. But I think it's probably only 15 and 20%. At the moment, they're showing no favours for athletes or people who are working in the sport industry, which is also fair enough. We're doing our job just like everybody else. But I know one of our staff who's Italian is actually going to be working for the Australian Olympic team as a mechanic, and he's going to get vaccinated faster from the Australian Olympic Committee than he will from his own country's medical system. So it is very varied, but I think there's a few of our guys who are here at the Giro who have got planned vaccination when they get home from this race as well, because it's got to be, you can't just get vaccinated the day before a race. You've got to leave a few days a window there, because it does knock people around a little bit. Some people have no reaction at all, and some people they need a few days laying low. So look, I think it's going to, by the time we get to the Tour of France, I think we'll have another group of our team that will be vaccinated. But because people have residency in Andorra, in Spain, in France, in Monaco, in Italy, in Spain, it's every country's handling it different. But athletes and people who work in professional sport are getting no favours, that's for sure.
Yeah, Simon, I heard Simon is really keen for the Olympics. He's mentioned that a few times, so which means he has to get vaccinated. Well, does he have to have both the first and second vaccination before he can go to the Olympics?
Well, I think if he gets a Johnson & Johnson one, it's only a one jab, so that would be enough. And with Simon as well, because he's had COVID with under 6 months ago, he still has got a bit of immunity to the virus at the moment. So, which is probably the only positive we can take out of last year's Giro, him catching COVID, is that the chances of him catching it again in the first 6 months are very slim. But yeah, a couple of our athletes got Luka Mezgec and Tanel, who's here at the Giro, Tanel Kanga, they got vaccinated earlier in the week, and I've heard some. I remember talking to Geraint Thomas in March, and he said when he was going home in April, he was going to get vaccinated. And I don't know which vaccine that he used, but some of them are one-off, and some of them as well, they're not vaccinating you 3 or 4 weeks. Some of them are like 3 months later, and some countries even are using different vaccines for your two different doses.
Oh, really? I got done last week. I had the AstraZeneca or whatever it is. So I'll hopefully don't get the blood clots in a few weeks' time. But so I've had the first one. I've still got to get the second one, which is not for another couple of months. Yeah.
You're a cockroach if you won't get any blood clots. You're fine. Hey, one other thing I want to mention is I had a chat with Bills on another podcast a couple of days ago, and he said, geez, the protocols have changed so much in 4 or 5 years. The days of the old Jonesy rice mix are finished. It's all weighed by nutritionists now. They measure the rider's weight and work out the carb replacement. So those honey soy rice mixes with tuna I used to make for the boys, they're done, mate.
They are. But you had a good eye for food quantities there, Jonesy, and what the right balance between flavour and performance. And the longer that we got into a Grand Tour, the more it became about the flavour. And you did mix some very good concoctions there over the years.
Well, if you're a good bloke, you got extra honey. So, and most of them were good blokes. So it was just a big gluggy mess in the end. But no, we really appreciate you being on the show. Anything you want to add before we let Whitey go, Iffy?
No, look, just good luck, mate. We'll be with you every day. I can remember talking to you 3 or 4 days ago when you were just heading to the gravel stage, and then spoke to you the next day, and you were very concerned. So hopefully that all pans out for you. But yeah, excited about today. Who's your pick for today, Garner or the Frenchman?
Well, you think of current form, you go with Cavagna, but I'm going to put my money on Garner. I think he hasn't been as dominating in the time trials the last couple of months, but look, he's an Italian at home from this region in Italy, and it's a short time trial. He's class. He's the fastest man in the world over 4 kilometres, and it's pretty hard to bet against him. But Cavagna certainly showed a good clean set of heels last weekend into a Romani. He did have a good run with the weather, but he's in a very good place, and I struggle to see anyone else beating those two today. But my money's on Gunner.
Oh, thanks, bud.
Before we let you go, a couple of comments have come in. Andy Hilton, good evening from New Zealand, guys. Really looking forward to this Giro. Will be great to see both Yatesy and GB going hard out. Carolyn Harbour, this must be Italian. In Bocca al Lupo Mat alla Squadra Bex. What's that mean?
Wishing us all the best. All the best. And Bex would be Bike Exchange. So
there you go.
Yeah,
I thought it was like
a
vaccine brand or something. Jason Cruz, looking forward to the Giro as always. Good luck, Matt and MBE. And Pole says Johnson & Johnson isn't yet being used in the UK. So there you go.
There's a few things, but Simon is a resident of Andorra. That's where he's probably going to get it. But there's a little bit of political, let's just say, a bit of political to and fro there between some of the English vaccines and what's getting used in Europe at the moment.
Okay.
I did one question for you, mate. We didn't mention Jai Hindley, young Aussie, riding for DSM, but a great Giro last year to be pipped in the post and run second. Hasn't had a great lead up, but what have you heard about Jai's form?
Oh, I saw him in Tour of the Alps. He was definitely, his condition was building, and if anything, proves his class was the way he really built into last year's Giro, and he's obviously a rider who can handle the 3 weeks to its entirety, and he's a guy there that he's on the radar. We won't be letting him skip off anywhere in the first half of the race, and a very, very impressive ride from Jai, and he's one of the guys who's going to be battling out for a podium for sure.
And how do you think George Bennett's going to go? This is on behalf of Andy Hilton.
Yeah, I think he's in the same bracket. I think there's probably about 10 riders who are coming in here. You know, with if you look at the 10 leaders from those teams, very, very different preparations, some by necessity. Catalunya had a bit of a spell from racing after that, so he's coming in with not much competition. Some guys have been racing 2 weeks ago, some guys last weekend. So I think there's plenty of ways to skin a cat, and George is a solid guy, and I would put him in the same sort of category as Jai. He's one of the leaders. He'll be protected from Jumbo. They've got a good team around him, and again, a guy that we've got our eye on.
Bewley said that if Bennett was to win the Giro, surely he'd have to be close to winning New Zealand Sportsman of the Year. And I was like, no shit.
They've got some good rugby players.
There's no Rugby World Cup on this year, so it's a year to do it.
That's it. Well,
the other one I was going to say, which you haven't mentioned, but I reckon he's a real chance for the podium, is the POM Hugh Carthy.
Yeah, no, look, he was very, very impressive in the Vuelta last year, and he's a guy I don't think you'll see too much of him in the first half of the race, but he's another one who loves that last week, and if you've got legs on the last week, you can certainly make big inroads in the GC battle.
All right, mate. Well, you're going to get all your stuff sorted for today. Good luck. Do you get pizzas on the prologue day, or is that for the big time trials?
We had pizza last night, and I think it's just such an easy snack to get anywhere, isn't it? We are the hotel we're staying at is a very, very good pizza shop. I don't know if they've pre-ordered or they're serving or finding them in town, but we'll probably have a snack or two of pizza, just a little bit away from the boys' downwind, not downwind, upwind from the guys in the TT area. But it's our tradition, but we'll just keep it away from the boys, and little boxed off area where they can focus on doing their thing, and we can zip in and out and have our snacks during the day.
I see you've got happy riding last. It's like a lot of people mightn't understand it, but with a normal time trial, it's reverse order of classification. But in a prologue, in a time trial the first day, you select where you want to put the guys, and often that is a really, if it looks a bit wet, that becomes a tactical decision you have to make because of the weather conditions. But it looks like today it's pretty benign for the weather.
Yeah, no chance of rain, and there's a slight chance of the wind dropping later in the afternoon. Not much, a couple of kilometres now, but if you see, I think there's only, besides Carpenarts is off early, and then I think Pelo Bilbao is off 40th, but the rest of the favourites are all in the last two waves. And Heppy's probably our best time trial here today, and he can certainly handle the pressure of going off with the favourites. And it'll be interesting to see what performance he can put out. And he's still committed to that mustache, so hopefully that doesn't affect the aerodynamics. No, I think unofficial studies have shown that can enhance his aerodynamics in short prologues, at least anyway. Okay. Well,
I think you just made that up.
Good on you, Whitey. Appreciate you being on the show, mate. All the best for today, and we'll check in again tomorrow. All right, guys. Thank you. Talk soon. See you, mate. Team Bike Exchange Sports Director Matt White. It's going to be an absolute cracker of an opening stage, Iffy. It's time now for a quick word from our great mates at Bike Exchange.
Look at this bike. You think it's just a bike, right? But it's not. It's a bike 374 people are looking at. This guy, this girl, them, all looking at it. People from here, there, and wherever this is. People that are looking for a bike. Or just a piece of it. Amateurs, semi-amateurs, and pro-amateurs. This guy wants this bike, but with this crank and these bars. This could be the perfect match. But not this one. This girl has a bike to sell, and thousands of people might purchase it. Eyes on Bikes help grow small businesses. His, hers, yours, and the latest data and insights help those businesses keep moving. We are the world's #1 bike marketplace, with over 500,000 products and 900 brands, where buyers and sellers are brought together in a place where a bike is never just a bike. Bike Exchange, where the world buys, sells, learns, and rides.
Thanks again to our mates at Bike Exchange. This time of the year, does it affect, like having the Giro, particularly on free-to-air, you see an uptake in people actually wanting to get out on their bikes because they're so excited that a big Grand Tours are underway? And are you seeing that in the local rides around Geelong?
Yes. The group that I ride with aren't. None of them are ex-cyclists. That's I purposely did that so I can kick their butts. But they're like a lot of the late in years, like mob. They have fallen in love with the cycling. So I've noticed a lot more, and they're all talking about it. Fantastic that SBS are now covering live, and it's been quite a few years, and because. It's a different mob, the Italian with the than ASO, but you can feel the fact that it's going to be live to air is a lot better than have to chase around and try and get onto a special network to cover it. So I can feel the vibe, feel the love.
Yeah. And it's so much better that it is in May. Like, it feels like things are starting to come back to normal as opposed to last year when it was just all over the bloody shop. Yeah. Anyway, let's have a quick skim through some of the stages. Obviously, we've gone through today's stage. It's going to be hard and fast. But you scroll through, you've got some sprint stages. I mean, Caleb Ewan is going to be someone to look out for, particularly from an Aussie perspective. How many stages do you think he could pinch this year, Johnny?
There's some good sprinters here. So there's probably 4 or 5. It's not quite a Tour de France sort of level of sprinting. Interesting one to watch will be Dylan Groenewegen, the Dutchman who has had 9 months holiday from that terrible crash with young Jacobsen. I thought it was a bit too much, but it's his first race back. It'd be interesting. But
he's going to be good for George Bennett because he's going to soak up a lot of the media attention, particularly early on.
Well, he will for sure. But look, you would think that Caleb could probably win up to 3 stages. I don't reckon he'll hang around for the last week. I reckon. I don't think he'll try and go through those big last week of mountains.
Stage 2, one for Caleb. We have a look at stage 3. This is a bit more of a punchier type stage.
probably not going to be too much. But when you think that these stages won't shake up the GC, as we saw last year, anything can happen, particularly in these early stages. There's always something, or one rider that there's a crash, or there's just some unknown that is thrown a real spanner in the works, particularly the ones on paper where you go, oh, yeah, this looks pretty predictable.
Yeah, it's interesting. See, that normally you say that's a breakaway stage, but so early in the tour, whoever's got the pink jersey, the leader's jersey, that team won't want to just let it go. So that often restricts the breakaways a bit. That's the type of stage that the good sprinters can get over, like a Sagan and those guys. It would probably take, depending on how they race it, of course, but Caleb would need to be right at his best to get over. There's 3 decent climbs there in the finale.
He was bloody climbing strong at Milan San Remo. So who knows?
For sure.
All right, stage 4, 187 Ks. This one looks a little bit trickier with a finish on a Cat 2. This is when you'd expect, well, you wouldn't see too many GC guides showing their cards this early on, but
but the type of day you have to. I mean, the GC guys will be out to play on this one. They might be trying to put each other away, but they'll be there. There will be the pretenders will be gone. The sprinters and that won't be winning this one. It'll be. It could be an interesting breakaway day, but I would think that the next couple of days have got some really good stages. Yeah.
Stage 5, 177 Ks. This is another one for Caleb Ewan. Could be crosswinds, flat stage. So if he's on form, he potentially could have bagged his second stage there.
You'll have that one here marked. Yeah, for sure.
Stage 6, 160 Ks. Now this one looks a little bit more filthy, John. We've got a
This
Cat
is a
2,
ripper.
Cat 3.
This is a ripper. This is Simon Yates. Got his name all over this one. But be a great stage.
Stage 781 Ks. This is another one for the sprinters. And, they're set on cycling tips, the smaller sprinters and what to watch for a late dig from a classics types rider to disrupt the fast men. So it must be a bit technical, but
the sprinters teams will be controlling this, so there won't be breakaways getting that one. Yeah.
Stage 8. Now these are the last 2 stages before the first rest day. Now the Giro love throwing up filthier stages. You've got a big Cat 2 there, finishing on a Cat 4. So again, GC guys are going to be on show iffy.
Breakaway day.
Yep. And then the big one before the rest day, 158 Ks. This one is very, very lumpy.
Cat 2, it is a filthy
3
day.
This one's the finishes on the gravel. This is at the same finish that Cadell won in 2010.
Yeah. So this will be interesting because of the rest day next day. A few of the GC guys will be prepared to have a bit of a dip. It'll be one of those ones that you wouldn't want to have any trouble. Luckily, the gravel's right near the end, and it's only on the climb, so it shouldn't be too bad. But I'm looking forward to that one that's coming up in a couple of days after this.
Yeah. And you've got stage 10. Oh, so it isn't even the rest day. Hang on. So if you've got the Sunday, they're racing to the Monday. Normally they have the rest day on the Monday, so they've got this is the stage before the first rest day. So the rest days are on Tuesdays both times for the Giro. That's a real pain in the butt for the riders.
Yeah.
Because normally you're looking forward to just getting through that first block, but if there's 10 stages, that adds to the mental fatigue. Yes, and this one here, there's a run into the finish. Could be one for the sprinters again there, iffy. And this could be where Caleb potentially wins his third and checks out.
I think this is the fourth. We've got him down for 4 so far. This will be his 4th win if he wins all those sprints.
Yeah, right.
But
stage 11.
So stages. Yep.
This is the one with the gravel sections. This is the one Whitey was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's the one they're most concerned about.
Interesting. Until I heard what Whitey said, all the stuff I'd read, I thought it was virtually the same, the Strada Bianca roads. They were just using, because that's that region, and they kept calling it the Strada Bianca stage. And I thought, but it's not. as what he just said, they're completely different roads, not really set up for this. Seems a bit strange. Hopefully they know what they're doing and they get it right, because that would just be absolutely criminal if one of the real GC contenders loses a lot of time because of the gravel and punctures. It'll be hectic.
Stage 12, 212 Ks. This is another tough stage. We've got a Cat 3, Cat 2, another Cat 2, and finishing with a Cat 3 and a descent into the finish. This is another one there where the GC guys are going to be bopping around, Iffy.
A lot of climbing, mate. A lot of climbing. Yeah. So, yeah. And once whenever you get a descent down the finish, you start to get nervous. And you know what? The weather can do anything in the Giro. It's all about that. You look just last week in Romandie, and when the weather hit, there were bike riders falling down everywhere.
Stage 13, 198 Ks. This is another flat one for the sprinters.
I reckon that's about as flat as they come.
That is pancake flat. Yep. But as I always say, crosswinds. And on paper, Billy was saying the other day that, you know, as a rider, you look at these stages and you go, oh, sweet, you know, like it's going to be flat. And then, yeah, there's always crosswinds, or it's, there's always something that gets thrown up that they don't expect.
In the beautiful town of Verona. So whether they go into the arena, I don't know. But anyway,
stage 14,
here it is.
Zoncolan.
Here it is.
This is a big one. This is a big one.
Yeah,
this is the stage that Heppy did the horses in 2014 when he was trying to finish last on GC to win 200 bottles of Spew Manti. I think he got pipped for last by about a minute. But yeah, that is such a tough climb, that Zoncolan. And if Whitey is correct when he said about the crowds, I mean, it's going to be just jam-packed.
Yeah, it surprised me. I thought there'd be some restrictions on the crowds, but doesn't. But Monte Zoncolan is the. There may be a couple of tougher days, but there's no tougher climb in this Giro than the Zoncolan.
So by this stage, we should have the GC really starting to sharpen up. We move along to stage 15, 147 Ks, a shorter one, pretty lumpy, pretty good one for the breakaway after the day before, Iffy.
Yeah, definitely a breakaway day for sure.
Yep. Stage 16, 212 Ks. This one looks filthy. We've got 3 Cat 1s. And what's the C? Is that like the horse category?
Yep.
So that looks absolutely filthy. You look at even the
what do they call it? It's copy something. Is this the C for the copy? Yeah, it's just there. Always go.
C stands for just check out. That is just nasty. So by this stage, I mean the Giro is just going to be enthralling because you know, if you have a bad day and you're up at the pointy end, I mean, you could lose 5-10 minutes easy. Giro's done. Stage 17, 193 Ks, another tough stage. You're finishing with 2 Cat 1s there. And then stage 18, this is another one. See, this is what Bewley was saying as well. You know, you've got a flat stage, 231 Ks. There's no need to put a 231 K stage in on stage 18, John. I mean, this should be 160 Ks, mate.
Mate, I don't remember any stages being under 200K in the Giro I rode, so I don't know what they're whinging about, but I do agree. I do agree.
Stage 19, this is where the Giro really is going to be won or lost. It is another nasty one. You've got 2 Cat 1s and a Cat 3 finishing on the Cat 1 climb, 176 Ks. And then you've got stage 20. Have a look at this one. Before the time trial, you've got 4,200 meters of climbing, Johnny.
Yeah, it just what do you say? It's just the last week of this Giro. I know it's always tough, and what he said, you know, the Giro, the back end's going to be hard. I think this is the toughest I've seen in recent times. The last week of this.
And the final time trial, 30.3 Ks. It's flat, but it's through, center of town. You've got street traffic and, potholes, and still could dish up anything. And at the end of 3 weeks of racing, it doesn't matter if you're a time trial specialist or not. It all depends on how you recover.
Well, exactly right. I mean, look at Jai Hindley. I mean, he was, everyone predicted he wouldn't be able to keep the pink jersey because in the time trial, and they turned out to be correct. But and Simon Yates has improved in his time trial, but he wouldn't want to be. The good thing for him is that Bernal is not a great time trialer. He's not much difference between them. You just wouldn't want to have someone there. But same with Lander, he's not a great time trialer. So most of his main opposition aren't great time trialers. So that's a really good thing.
He made a good point as well, Whitey, about the Ineos team coming out and saying, Bernal's got a bad back, and if he wasn't any good, they wouldn't have brought him. Simple as that.
No, for sure.
Yeah. Now, finally, who do you think is going to be a couple of the riders to watch? I mean, Sagan's going to be an interesting one, given all the stuff that's happened with management, and you talk about riders that are under the pump. How do you think he's going to respond?
I don't know that he's under the pump. I don't think he'll stay with Bora. I really do think, reading the tea leaves, that he will leave. But he's still very popular. We've got to remember he's had some serious little challenges, but he'll be fine. I think he'll win the points jersey. I'll pick him to do that now. He's was some really good speed in some of the races recently. He'll give Caleb a run. He'll be in those sprint stages earlier in the tour, but I just think he will get through those intermediate stages better than anyone else. And the other green jersey, or whatever colour the sprinter's jersey is in this race, I can't remember what colour it is, but the sprinter's jersey, I think he will take that. And I'd be interested to watch him. I don't see Peter Sagan dominating as he did a couple of years ago, 3 world championships in a row and that sort of thing. But he is still a class bike rider, and he will get snapped up by one of the big teams for sure.
And Chris Froome is in the news. If he posted a video, I think yesterday, it was him doing a lot of training in a lab, testing his hips and hamstrings and where his body's at. And I saw an article in Cycling News where he's saying, the frustrations in people that have written him off. I think he's pretty keen to show his doubters. Do you think he's going to get back to the form that we know him for?
I reckon he'll get back to some sort of semblance of that form. I have no doubt that Chris Froome, as professional as he is going to, come back. As he said the other day, he was laughing because he said people just don't realise how serious my injury was and what I've had to go through. There's no way that he's going to go through all this and not get back up to a level. I don't believe he will win the Tour de France again. It definitely won't be this year, and he knows that. Although he hasn't said it, he will be work this year. It'll all be about next year, and he will get back to that sort of form that he had. But as his own manager said just the other day in a very interesting article, even if he hadn't had that crash, would he be able to win the Tour de France again with all these young guys? I don't know, is what he said. And it's very true. But he will get back to his best form again. I don't think he'll win the Tour de France again, but he'll be in there giving it a shake.
That's a real political way to answer that from his manager. I mean, he's saying in the nicest way possible, probably wouldn't have won it.
Well, it was pretty honest, actually. I liked it. Don't get much of that.
No, that's right. Final comment is from Kim Dixon. She says, enjoying some pizza and Prosecco and the Detour live. Keep up the great work, boys. Good on you, Kim. Now, we're going to be live each night for the Giro. Iffy will probably be at 6 p.m. each night, bearing any unforeseen events that are on or...
Well, we're going to work in with SBS because we're big fans of the gang at SBS, and they seem to like us. So we'll make sure we sort of work in with their podcast, and we'll promote them. They'll promote us, and we're talking about different things. They're much more serious than us, but I'm looking for it. Look, I love the Giro. And the fact that it's on back on SBS, I think, is an absolute plus.
And we'll, as we always do on the Detour, we'll be tapping into some pretty big guests all over the world. Scotty McGrory will be joining us again tomorrow night. We'll probably get Sam Bewley on for his expert analysis, and might tune into the voice of cycling, Iffy, see how he's travelling.
Yeah, for sure. We'll have some great guests and we'll have some fun, and looking forward to it. I mean, my pick tonight is Ghana as well. I think it will be. Cavagna has definitely got better form, but as Whitey said, in his own region, and it's only 10K. I think we'll see him pull one out tonight.
Yep. All right. Well, we're looking forward to it. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you again on the Detour tomorrow night live at 6 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. See you then.
This is the winning ride